done for me. I do want to say a couple of things. Thanks so much for my family coming. My wife's put up with me for, my son is for 35 years. And her parents, I got to introduce Ted Money Bailey and her parents, they're here today. And they've both been in the workforce for over 60 years. So it makes my 37 years make me feel like maybe I'm about half done. And they're still working every day, and it's wonderful. My favorite nephew, Jeff, and his wife, Josie. He's the only nephew here, so he's my But most of you don't know this. I do want to say this. Jeff and Josie got married at Memorial Day this year. And I've always been very close to Jeff and gotten very close to Josie also. And around Christmas time, they came to me and said, we'd like for you to be the minister for our wedding. Okay, and I said, wait a second. I'm not a minister. He says, yeah, well, maybe you can be. So I got to be an ordained minister so I could do the wedding. And it was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life. I can't thank you enough, and it was just wonderful. My brother Dee's here, and his wife, and my niece Kim. And my sister-in-law Ruth's here. My brother Johnny passed away a couple months ago, and it was tough. Very tough thing, and Ruth's like a sister, so we all need to take care of each other, and we try to do that as best we can, and it's just a great family. I also want to thank a few people who came, and again, do we have a few minutes here? Because this could take me. I want to thank a few people. First off, I want to thank people that have traveled in. Ruben Nieves. He came in from Peru or Chile or where'd you come from?
Florida.
I know it was some South American country. I just didn't know which one it was.
All right, Southern Florida.
Right. But Ruben's originally from Venezuela, I think, correct?
Yes.
And it was wonderful for him to fly up and come here today. Dan Rogers from Duotech Services, he called me earlier. He was going to fly up here today, and he had a cabin pressure problem and got grounded, so didn't quite make it. So he's going to come up later, and I'm sure we'll go out to dinner and have a great time. Gary Kobitsky, great friend of mine. Gary Kobitsky was a program manager at General Dynamics for many years out there. And I could almost cry that he flew out from Colorado today to have lunch with us. And I hadn't seen him since he retired in about 10 years. And my gosh, we had AYK-14 at that time when Gary was running that program. Now, Gary, I can't look at you because you're tearing up and I'm going to tear up. What a family AYK-14 was. We went through this long period of time where we were delivering like $100 million worth of equipment a year. And talk about stress. There was a lot of stress at the time, but there was family between General Dynamics and our team, and the collaboration we had with NAVSUP and those guys. It was amazing. We took care of each other. General Dynamics, Gary personally, he's a great personal friend. He would do anything for me. We would do anything for each other. I hate to tell the government some of the things I did to try to help General Dynamics, because it was that relationship we had that made the program succeed, because if they had a problem, we got to the point where they would call me and I would help them fix it any way I possibly could. They couldn't meet a production delivery because they needed a part, I'd get the part and give it to them. And in exchange, they would do anything for me. And so the day he dies, Gary Kobitsky, I'd do anything for him. So God bless you, and thank you for coming all the way out here for this. I'm sorry, I got to get myself settled. It's 37 years it's a long career. I do want to talk about two things that I thought were really key, and I really did have a very successful career. Did so many wonderful things, and I look back and try to think about all the accomplishments, and I just felt things were so wonderful, and people were so wonderful to me. But leadership and friendship. Talk about Navy. We're Navy Air, right? But Navy ships, I want to talk about too. Leadership and friendship. Leadership. Captain Williamson's here today. Captain Portnoy was nice enough to come today. I got calls from Captain Maytog and Captain Silvernagle, and we had nice conversations. And the funny thing is, I could write a book. I'd love to write a book about Nav Air and the great leaders that I've worked for. And this even applies to Steve, who I've worked for in the last year or so, and he's been wonderful to work with. John Hyder, my gosh, ultimate professional, wonderful to work for, okay? All these people, there's a common thread. They're all different in night and day. I'm going to tell you a couple stories about it because I look at Captain Portnoy and I can almost see Captain Williams and Portnoy at the same time. They were very different from one another, but boy, the leadership they conveyed, and John and Steve and those guys, every one of you guys, and Baytog and Rogers even, Silvernagle. You know, I felt like at the end of the day, I was going to succeed no matter what. And John talked about the long days, but you know, I always felt like I was a little slower than the next guy. So if I didn't put in the time, I would really never get it accomplished like the next guy. So I tried to put in the time, honestly. But the fact is, you guys drove me to do that. Not driving me at all. You let me be autonomous, gave me some responsibility, let me run my own programs, and let me succeed. And at the end of the day, I didn't want to let you down. You know, John talks about that thing about being sorry for things. I feel like if I didn't meet a milestone or didn't accomplish what I was supposed to, I would let you down. And if I let you down, you guys were such great leaders. That meant everything working here. And it was the same through the whole career. Back in the mid-90s, I'll never forget John Baytog coming to that office, okay? My first management review with him. Okay, I'm going to prepare a new captain, right? I generate 30 slides. I walk into Baytog's office, and I put slide one up. I said, I'm Rex. He said, next slide. I said, well, I'm managing the AYK-14 program. Next slide. In about 10 minutes, we went through 30 slides. And he looks at me and he says, Coombs, you got any issues? I said, no, sir. He said, well, get the heck out of here. Next PMA, okay? Walt Rogers. Okay, you guys know Walt Rogers, right? I put my 30 slides together. I think I remember leaving that briefing 5 hours later. And I believe Lumpkins or somebody was standing out the door and he said, man, are you all right? I said, am I all right? I think we'll be fired. It was the same 30 slides. It was 5 hours ago doing with Walt Rogers, okay? Walt Rogers, you know, he worked 24/7, right? And he just was a great guy, and I had a great relationship with him, as I have with the ultimate professionals, Mike Williamson, you know, Ralph Portnoy, John Hyder, Steve Owens. You guys are just outstanding people to work for. The leadership drives you to succeed because you just want to make sure you accomplish what you need to, because I want to make sure you as leaders get what you need to get done. And that was our job to do, right? So that's the way I always felt with the leadership. And then the other part of my success was really friendship. I could write so many stories about how friendship saved my career. You guys are wonderful friends. In the last couple of weeks since it was announced that I was going to retire, I've gotten so many phone calls and emails from old friends, and they're reminiscing with me, like Captain Baytog and Captain Silvernagle, who called and talked to me for a while. But I can remember it, and you know, I spoke to Shram Bhavani just earlier today, and Shram and I were great friends in our careers. And Gary, you probably remember this. You know, we went through a period where General Dynamics had bought the AYK-14 operation out in Minneapolis. And I was very accustomed to a 100% on-time delivery record, and you know what happened to us? There was a restructure, and we went through a period of time where we didn't deliver anything. And there really were scares and concerns that Boeing was going to claim against the Navy, because a lot of this equipment was going to the Boeing production line out in St. Louis. And if they couldn't deliver an airplane, they were going to probably claim it, right? So I had to fix that. Okay. And, you know, it is funny. You were very autonomous back in those days. I don't even know that the captain really was involved much. This was Walt Rogers at the time, because it was during the time he was there. I remember I had this ingenious scheme that we were delivered 150 items a month for AYK-14 at that time. That's what $100 million a year added up to. And we went through 9 months and delivered 0, okay? And a lot of that was going to GFD production line. So I remember at the time, and Shram reminded me, I said, you remember me calling? You called me. And I called Shram and I said, Shram, can you do me a favor? I had a big list of these favors I had between NAVSUP and Shram. And I said, we're working an ECP. Can you delay the ECP for me? He said, oh my God, no. I said, I've got to get this hardware to St. Louis or we're going to have a claim against the Navy. We got to do something. He says, my God, I wouldn't do this for my mother. Give me an hour and I'll go talk to the PMA. And he came back and we did it. NAVSUP gave me everything they had out of supply. We got everything we could, and we got through that, right, Gary? I mean, we worked together.
I retired before then.
He won't even admit having anything to do with it, but he was very instrumental in what we did. And we got through it. Friendship got me through so many things. You know, Rex is one, you know, we got some great PCOs, you know, Carmack, others who are not here today. They couldn't be here today. Claire used to kid me all the time. You know, we were at a time where we had a full-time PCO assigned to me. We were doing contract mods every other day. I mean, it was always a full-time contracting officer job, just doing the AYP 14 things. And I always wanted to do UCA, and she would not let me do a UCA. I don't know what that's all about. We always used to kid about that, because it's probably the only contract action Rex never had anything to do with, and I still hate that I retired and didn't do it. That's okay. It's okay. It's just that always, when you got in a situation where something wasn't working out, you had a problem, I always had a friend to turn to help. And you guys were nice enough to say kind words about me helping you. I'd do anything for anybody in this room, but I always felt that there were so many people around down there that did so much for me to make sure that I succeeded. Even if I screwed it up, I could always recover because I had friendship, right? So thank you guys very, very much for all you've done for me. If anybody here would ever need anything that I could do, you know, Lakshmi here, I look back at Lorena Walton sitting back there. It helped us so much, helped us PMA, 209 so much with PRE stuff when she was in PRE management. I swear I heard Lakshmi, I overheard her in a briefing tell somebody that Rex used to get me in so much trouble. He would come in and talk real nice to me, and I would give him stuff, and then my manager would be so mad because I gave 209 the PRE. And it was all, you know, a lot of that was even friendship. And Lorena did so much for us too. She used to do that stuff for me all the time. Even if I screwed it up and gave a bad brief, she said, good for you, give Rex some more. So, you know, it was, some of it was, you know, doing some things, others just the friendship and the camaraderie and everybody taking care of me. So I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate everybody coming here today. If there's anything I could do for any of you, please let me know. And Ruben, you're from where? Florida. Whatever. So, thank you so much.